After having 6 teams on bye in week 7, there are no byes for week 8 in the NFL. So we have a lot of great options as we prepare cash lineups on the main slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel for week 8, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, another week in the books, another successful DFSHub contest. So here we have the top 10 with Scott Beller, Bernard Darmakid, sorry if I said that wrong, and Terry Saltzman rounding out the top 3. And if you look at those, they got a lot of things in common. Top guys, a lot of them have Kenneth Walker, a lot of them have the Ravens. Yeah, okay, we didn't talk about Pat Mahomes and Kelsey, but some of the things that we keep mentioning seem to be paying off. Hope we can do it again this week.
Congratulations, especially to Scott, who I know who has actually guested on this show before and has been a long-time FFC supporter. Congratulations to him. Michael, I thought I would be in it this week. I wasn't, but in the morning games, I had Deontay Foreman, Jerome Ford, and the Ravens D. None I spent a lot, so I said, I'm in this in the afternoon, and then Cup did nothing, and Keenan Allen did nothing, and my team did nothing. So maybe this week, and let's talk a little bit. We're gonna bounce back. I gotta admit, our core players last week didn't do as well as they have done almost all season. Let's bounce back this week. I think we have a good core of players, and I'm gonna start with Tony Pollard. Again, these are players we're going to play on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Pollard is $7,500 on DraftKings and only $7,600 on FanDuel. If you look at the 3 games this year of the 6 that Dallas has played, it hasn't been a complete blowout or Dallas getting blown out. Pollard has had touches of 21, 26, and 32. And I think this game is going to be close. They are a favorite 6.5 points over a Ram team who has a full arsenal of weapons in their passing game, at least. And I love that Pollard checks all of the boxes you want in a running back. He's home. He's favored. He's the goal line back. He gets involved in the passing game, and he faces a below average Ram rush defense. All those, you don't have to break the bank, Michael.
I completely agree. I love all those recipe items, and I got a similar one for you with almost exactly the same recipe. He's even cheaper, only $7,200 on FanDuel and only $5,900 on DraftKings. It's Breece Hall, also coming off the bye week. Really a key to the Jets offense in the games that they win. He gets more touches. You saw the last couple of weeks, he had 25 and 17 touches. And really, I think he is the key to the Jets offense being successful. I say it's a home game. It's actually away. They got to go all the way to their stadium to play against the New York Giants, who are 27th against the run. Nice dream matchup for Breece Hall. I think he's going to really take advantage. They still have an outside chance of making the playoffs, and Breece Hall is a key to that. What do you think?
I like it. I can't believe he's sub 6,000 on DraftKings. So I'm going to continue the trend of saving money on FanDuel and DraftKings. Let's get Brandon Powell, who's a paltry 3,200 on DraftKings and 4,700 on FanDuel, facing Green Bay. Insanely low salary, especially on DraftKings. Look at the last 3 games, because those are the 3 games that are relevant. Since Justin Jefferson went on IR, Powell has become the wide receiver 3 on this Vikings team. Look, he has gotten into 43 of the 70 snaps. Now, I want to be clear. I don't think he has a high ceiling, but what I love about him in cash games, besides his low price, is it gives you a very solid floor. In those 3 games, he's had 4, 5, and 6 targets and 3, 4, and 4 receptions. So it's going to be exciting what we can do with the rest of our lineup, partially because of Powell's in it.
Yeah, and so we got to save some money to do some of the other things that we want to do with the lineup. On DraftKings, I will mention if you think McCall Hardman's not going to quite be up and running yet, you got both Sky Moore and MVS.
Marquez Valdez
There
Scout,
you go,
baby.
available at very similar pricing as well. So if you like that that Chiefs offense and you want to get one of those guys in there, but so far it's kind of been the Travis Kelce show, and McCall Hardman could dip into that. So that's the challenge, I would say there. Well, Eric, you've saved us some money, so we got to spend some money on some real high upside guys, and somebody who we want to put in both lineups is AJ Brown, who has really just been a beast of late, averaging over 12 targets and 140 yards per game in the last 5 weeks. He's 8,700 on FanDuel, 8,000 even on DraftKings, going up at Washington, who is 28th against the pass. So got to take advantage of that with a guy who really is Jalen Hurts number one. For all those who you have Devonta Smith in your fantasy lineup, I'm so sorry to tell you, AJ Brown has been getting all those targets, and it's because he's been so physical and really been able to do so much after the catch, go up and make some tough catches. He's been really impressive. I see him continuing this trend.
Few people in the NFL has his size and his speed as a combination. And we've seen this show before. They're facing Washington again, and all Brown did last time would get 9 receptions on 13 targets for 175 yards and I think 2 TDs. I saw that the Washington defense, as you said, was pass ranked 28th, and I said, really? That good? Because I've seen the secondary just leave people just wide open. And so I'm so glad that we were able to get AJ Brown in our lineup. The last common player is actually a defense, and we're going on the cheap, folks, with the Arizona defense. Only 2,100 on DraftKings. And look, there are 3 reasons why, besides the price, that I like this Arizona defense this week. First of all, they are at home. Second, they get nearly 3 sacks a game, which is pretty darn good at for this price. And as great as that Baltimore offense looked last week in Lamar Jackson, and it looked great, they have at times sputtered, and Lamar Jackson is not one of the quarterbacks that does a great job of being ball secure. In 7 games this season, he has already turned the ball over and lost in fumbles 8 times, 5 lost, and 3 interceptions. So we're going to take a chance with Arizona this week.
Yeah, listeners, you know us by now. You know that we'd like to go cheap on defense because of the difficulty in predicting, and the other options towards the bottom of the price range this week were nowhere near as appealing. So this helps us do some of the other things in the lineup. Should we jump to FanDuel and see what we got for the rest of the lineup?
Yeah, I'm excited we've got some money to spend. Let's see how we spend it. All right, Michael, I said that we're going to spend money. I'm going to do it right away at wide receiver, assuming the guy is definitely 100% healthy by game time. Let's get Tyreek Hill in the lineup. Look, at 9,500, he is 4th in the whole NFL in target, but he leads the NFL in receiving yards. Why? Because of how dynamic he is, both with air yards, but yards after the catch. Look, he's healthy. He's got a healthy QB in Tua. He's at home. He has a high implied total of 28. So you can see in his game log what he's accomplished this year. I don't think I need to tell you how great he has been. If we can go to the game log this year. Now, I'll give you a pivot if you don't like Tyreek Hill, or you feel like, guys, I'm sorry, he's injured, or I don't feel like he'll be 100%, and you want to pivot. Not in my lineup is Jamar Chase. He's a whopping $1,000 less. A lot here is how much confidence do you have in this Bengal offense facing a pretty good San Francisco defense? Cincinnati is coming off a bye. Jamar Chase has done better in more recent weeks, so it is a pivot that you can make. The other player that I'd like to consider is Trey McBride at tight end. I'm going to go really cheap on tight end at $4,700. Now, some of you are saying, who? And maybe that's because you're not up on the latest news. Trey McBride, if you look at his stats, he has been getting some play at the tight end, especially over the last couple of weeks. But I expect that to grow substantially with the fact that the news that came out after the salaries were set that Zach Ertz has been put on IR. I've watched Joshua Dobbs, Michael, a lot. He loves dumping passes off to his tight end, and that is going to be McBride. For full disclosure, he's facing a very tough Baltimore defense, but I just can't ignore McBride given his role at this price.
Yeah. If we could afford to get Travis Kelce in our lineup here, we obviously would love to do that, but he's going for 9,000. And I think rumor has it that Taylor Swift's not going to be in Denver this weekend. And so he may not quite have the same energy that he's had in prior weeks. Yeah, at that price range, there's really no one who's jumping out at me. I think he's got a nice floor, and with Connor out and like you say, Ertz out, this is the dump off for Dobbs. And I really like the Hill pick. I mean, you might say that there's been at times in the past where New England's been able to try and double up on him and slow him down, but I tell you, Tyreek this year, he's breaking the double teams. He has just been so impressive the way that I think it really is a testament also to McDaniel's approach to the offense and to his accuracy. Tyreek Hill just has so much upside and such a high floor. I really like these picks.
Yeah, what do you think, Michael, of the pivot of Jamar Chase? I mean, you can go on him to take a look at some of his stats. Are you comfortable if for some reason that Hill is not 100% with that pivot and then to spend the extra 1,000?
Yeah, I am actually. I think that this is exactly where I would go and take that extra 1,000 and apply it in other spots. But he doesn't have the same upside and nor floor as Hill with where the Cincinnati offense currently is. I'd like to think the bye helps them, but I think the bye in a situation like this also makes me a little bit uncomfortable, with how his usage, is going to continue to grow. Like I believe it should, but I mean, look at just last week 2 weeks ago against Seattle. I mean, he had a ton of targets, yes, but they weren't able to successfully get him the ball. And I think that to some extent is on play calling and on the quarterback play.
All right, so let's go back to our lineup. We need to fill out the flex position and the quarterback, and we have an average of $7,200 to spend. So we'll start at quarterback. So look, we had to make a decision in this lineup, and I have no problem, especially after the way he performed last week, if you want to spend up on $8,800 on Lamar Jackson. I mean, the guy just seemed to put it all together last week against Detroit passing. He's always, all year long, he's been a great rushing threat, but passing. But I am going to save a significant amount, almost $2,000 off him, and get Sam Howell. Now, why it's intriguing is FanDuel has a tendency not to price down like DraftKings these cheaper quarterbacks, but I like Sam Howell a lot in this week. As you can see on your screen, he faces the Philadelphia Eagles, who do a lot better against the rush than the pass. The last time that Sam Howell faced this Philadelphia team, he had a pretty good game in 290 yards. He even ran the ball a bit, which is a nice bonus. So at 69,900, I'm very comfortable with Sam Howell's floor this week. That allows me to have just enough money at 7,400 to get Isaiah Pacheco in my lineup. Let's be clear about what he has done. If you click on the game log, in the last 4 weeks. 17 touches, 22 touches, 17 touches, and 23 touches on a really great offense. He is someone who's getting his hands on the ball a lot, and that is great. And it's great to see what he's done in the passing game just over the last 2 weeks. And Michael, he inherits what I call a dream matchup. And when I say dream, I mean dream. He faces the Denver Broncos, who are dead last against the run, who are dead last against running backs, who have a dead last 32 overall defense. So happy to get Pacheco in our lineup.
Yeah, no, really like the usage he's been seeing. I think it's also been a big part of their success. One of the best looking teams right now in the NFL. So if we can get him in at the sake of paying down on the quarterback position, I like it. And yeah, Sam Howell looked really good against Philadelphia in Philadelphia. Coming off a rough week, he's got to bounce back. I think he will. This kind of rounds out this really starstruck lineup. I mean, Pollard, Hall, Brown, and Hill. Really? I mean, that's so awesome that we can get all those guys in this lineup.
All right, let's go to DraftKings.
Okay, Eric, we got our 5 positions there, and there, if you include the Cardinals, leaves us with 23,300, 5,800 on average for our lineup. So we could spend some money. So let's start spending some money. What are you doing here?
I thought we could spend some money.
Now we're out of money and we can't even finish the lineup. So I wish we could do that, but this is DraftKings. We don't quite have that budget. But what if I told you I could get you a guy in the lineup who's been performing just like some of the guys that you just mentioned? He's coming off a bye and he's only $6,600 in the wide receiver position. And okay, maybe he doesn't have a dream matchup, but there you go. That's him, Adam Thielen. Look what he's done this season. He's averaging over 10 receptions a game, over 100 yards per game. Let's get this guy after week 1, Let's get this guy in the lineup at 6,600. He is Bryce Young's go-to. He feels comfortable with him. It hasn't resulted in a win yet. So that's my only real caveat is that, getting the ball to Thielen's hurting us. We're losing. We need to change things up. I don't think that's the case. He's been the real one bright spot for this team. I want to get him in this lineup. And to go with him at the tight end position, again, we talked about Travis Kelce for FanDuel. We just can't afford to get him in here. Yeah, he's the top guy and will be the top guy, I think, week in and week out. But somebody who's $4,000 cheaper, who's really been quite impressive. Evan Ingram going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've been really bad against the pass. They've been strong against tight ends, but Evan Ingram is a wide receiver when it comes to route running and targets. He really is one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets. He's averaging at the tight end position 6 receptions per game, 50+ yards per game. And it's time for him to get in the end zone. That's the only thing he's really been missing. Some might like for $100 more the pivot of Dallas Goedert given his last game, but I think Evan Ingram is a better pass catcher, and if it as Trevor Lawrence starts to improve, I think that's who we want to get in the lineup for $4,500. Allows us to do a couple more things. So what do you think about those 2 picks, Eric?
I really like them on DraftKings, which is a full PPR. You've got 2 guys, Thielen and Ingram, who get a ton of targets and a lot of receptions. Didn't break the bank to get either of the 2 guys. So great job.
Yeah, so I'm still going to save us a few dollars at the quarterback position so we can get another just target hog at the flex position. So go down all the way down to the 4,000s, and let's get Kenny Pickett, who's going up against Jacksonville, who's been really bad against the quarterbacks. He's only wrong guy. He's only $4,900. And he's got Deontay Johnson back, and I think that's a big deal. I think you're going to see his fantasy points go up, and he's not afraid to get his nose in there to try and put his run across the finish line, which kind of has been important with how their run has been stuffed. Najee Harris is not necessarily getting on the goal line carries, and so Pickett might sneak you a touchdown on his legs. And I think Deontay Johnson really makes him much more appealing. I would like to get some of the top guys, but just at this price, what we can do at the flex position, I think it's too valuable. So let's talk about the flex real quick. If you've been watching what's going on, it's been happening since Derek Carr, the beginning of time with Derek Carr with the Raiders and now with the Saints. He is just very quick to dump the ball off. And so Alvin Kamara, who really is a 3-down back, he comes out every once in a while on an obvious pass situation, but he's even been in there, especially towards the end of the game, in pass situations. I mean, look at the number of receptions he's getting, other than against New England. Every week he is topping out wide receivers on that. And getting a ton of carries as well. He's kind of leading the league in 3 or 4 games on targets, this last week being obviously the number one. So the fact that we can get him at this price tag, $7,300 on DraftKings, I think is kind of surprising given the full PPR that you get. And he's going up against an Indianapolis defense that's 27th against running back. So let's get him in there. What do you think?
Yeah, so full disclosure, everybody, Jamal Williams did come back last week, and it's possible that his role will get a little bit expanded. So maybe when you see those 17 carries, that maybe that gets eaten into a little bit. But Jamal Williams can't catch a football. So I think what makes Kamara so valuable is I don't expect anything to change in his receiving statistics. As a proud Alvin Kamara fantasy owner, I mean, he was suspended for the first 3 weeks of the season, and he's been absolutely amazing since he's been back. I think the Saints realize how important he is to this offense, and I like it. And the price is reasonable at $7,300. So we'll officially get him in the lineup. I want to go back to Kenny Pickett just for a moment. So I just noticed that you talked about his running prowess, but in the last 2 games,
his
Michael,
willingness to put his head down.
Yeah, right. But in his 14 carries, we have gotten more yards than he has by 6. but no, you're right. I like that. That they used him right on the goal line there. I like Sam Howell, who we're using on FanDuel at $300 more. Any other pivots?
You can get Travis Etienne for a little bit less than Kamara, and he's really been heating up of late. If you've been following his play. And he, he's gone up against Pittsburgh defense that's been not very good to date, right? I'm surprised that the defense hasn't been better. And Jacksonville has been really running the offense through Etienne ever since they struggled towards the beginning of the season. And another pivot, since Deebo Samuel is out, is Ayuk, another wide receiver you can get who's going to really hog a lot of the targets. He's even cheaper. So that would allow for you to make those quarterback pivots. I still really like Kamara because of the guarantee dump offs that he's going to get from Derek Carr, who just has those pass happy feet.
As always, we want to hear from you. Please go down in the comment section. Tell us which one of our picks you like the most, or which one of the picks you don't like, and you have a pivot, a change, someone else around that salary that you think is a better option. Until we see you next week for week 9, Michael, can you believe we'll be halfway through the season at the end of next week? It's not a trick or a treat. It is reality. Until then, take care, everybody.
We'll put a couple videos on the screen for you. Check them out.